Olivia the engineer.
So, I thought I'd do something a bit different today. Obviously I'm not riding this weekend because if you follow my Instagram, or as I mentioned on my last YouTube video, I'm currently injured at the moment. So I thought I'd just take a moment just to talk about the crash, what happened, sort of a bit of the aftermath, what I'm doing now to recover, and basically the impact it sort of had on me, and just talk through it a bit. So it's back in December. I went to the Skills Loop Christmas ride, which you may have already watched the video for. Went there on the Saturday, saw some of the people I was riding with on the Sunday at Bike Park Wales. So drove across to Wales Saturday night, stayed at the Roost in Merthyr Tydfil, which is great. Headed over to Bike Park Wales in the morning, feeling really good and excited to be back. Obviously I'd been there a few times towards the end of last year. So I was feeling comfortable, confident, relaxed, excited to get riding. Headed off feeling all good, met up with everyone in the morning. It was part of the FKD Christmas ride, so there were a few people I already knew there. And then, yeah, got kitted up. Apologise if this is all over the place because it is a bit hazy. The memories are a bit hazy from the Sunday, and I've thought about this a lot and what order I want to do it in. But I'm just going to talk, see what happens, and just bear with. So yeah, we met up with some of the guys, got kitted up, got on the uplift, met Andrew at the top because he pedalled up the e-bike track. Stopped at the top where the bridge is, where the sort of the wooden ramp is, had a bit of a chat to people. So this was the first run of the day. Had a bit of a chat, spoke to some people about which trails they were going to warm up. I set off on Melted Welly, so I was a bit behind everyone because I've been chatting at the top to people. Set off down Melted Welly, done loads of times, saw some more people towards the end of that, joined Bluebell, went down Bluebell, and that brought me all the way down to the tunnel, which is kind of the last clear memory I have. So I'd met with my friends that were on the trail in front of me at that point. I think I'd said, right, let's take Norcal down to the uplift, and I think I set off ahead and went quite quick. So if you've been to Bike Park Wales, you'll know Norcal is quite a fast run down to the end of the start of the uplift, and there's some sort of jumps and rollers in it. It is all rollable, it's a blue, it's just quite a fast blue. So I set off down Norcal, and that's sort of the last thing I remember. I've got a memory, and I don't know whether I invented this afterwards, but I've got a memory of thinking my dropper post had come up and my seat was up, so I pushed it back down, and I've got this weird sensation of doing this twice. I've got this memory of thinking, why is my seat up? Oh no, need to push it down. And I've got this memory of pushing it down twice in a row, and I really don't know whether I invented that afterwards or when someone asked me what happened, I said maybe that's what happened, and that in my head has become like an actual memory because my GoPro wasn't on, because it was the first run of the day, so I was just warming up, so I hadn't put my GoPro on. I'd shot off in front of everyone else, so by the time my friends came round the corner I was already unconscious on the floor. So also apparently when the bike, because the bike was on top of me, apparently when the bike was lifted off me the saddle was all the way up. Now the dropper post was all the way up. It could have been that the lever got activated sort of thing, like as I went over and as I crashed and it shot up, or it could have been that that's what caused the crash and I went over quite a fast roller and my saddle was right up, and it is really high when it's at its maximum sort of height, my dropper, and whether it just threw my weight forward and just kicked me over one of the sort of jumps, and that's why I crashed. But we don't know, and we'll never really know unless the memories come back. I've tried really hard. I've watched videos back from the last time I went down Norcal, but it's not coming back. So I think we've worked out from sort of looking through footage that the place roughly where I crashed is round about here. just slowing down a little bit into those jumps because I don't really know what I'm doing and just want to be confident at the speed I'm going into them at. But no one saw it because, like I said, I was ahead of everyone. I didn't have my camera on. There was no one near me on the trails. So my mates came around the corner and I was unconscious. Andrew happened to be pedalling back up because at the sort of bridge point or the tunnel point, I'd given him my jacket, and he'd gone to put that back in the van because he was on the e-bike. He was just gonna whiz down, drop it in, come back up. He saw some commotion and realised it was me lying on the floor. So he came over. My friends that were with me stopped people coming down the trail. I'm really thankful that they were there with me to help. And the next guys that came down the trail, who we didn't know, I'm not entirely sure, and if it was you, please do get in touch because thank you very much. But I think from what I understand is they were some sort of medic / emergency type people, so a fireman or something, I can't quite remember. Like I said, I was really hazy, but they were sort of able to kind of look at me, see how I was doing, sort of assess me. And yeah, as I said, then Andrew then saw what was going on. He came over and he called the first responder number. So if you didn't know, if you've not been to Bike Park Wales, or if you've never had any cause to look, when you get your, in fact I'll go get it, when you get your pass, and this one's from September, I think the one from December's still on my bike. But yeah, when you get your pass, it's actually got a first responder telephone number on it. So if you need help, you call that number. So Andrew did that. Bike Park Wales came along. A chap in a Range Rover picked me up. I have no memory of this. They then said I should go to hospital because obviously I'd had quite a concussion, and I think it looked like my wrist was broken at that point. So Andrew took me to the hospital in Merthyr Tydfil. Really, really hazy. Don't remember any of this. I mean, I've lost, I'd say, the best part of Sunday. All I really remember is, like I said, being at the little tunnel, saying something like, follow me back to the uplift, waving to Andrew because he was going down to the van. And then the next thing really is I've got a really hazy memory of being quite warm, having the gown on in the hospital. I think I still have my knee pads on. Got sort of slight memories of, yeah, can I have a drink? I've got a memory, I think, of them putting the cast on because I remember that sort of warm sensation. I vaguely remember saying, I think, that my chest hurt, so I think I remember being taken to x-ray for that, but I don't remember the x-rays in my arms, don't really remember anything. I remember trying to eat some dinner that night, but again, that's really hazy. I just remember being really hot and saying that my arms hurt a lot. So in terms of the crash then, obviously I knocked myself out, clean out as I hit the floor. So I hit the right side of my face. And I always wear a full face helmet in Bike Park Wales. I know, I think if some people are hitting like really hardcore trails, they wear full face, and then other people tend to wear an open face. And I think the first time I went, I wasn't sure, but I had a full face. I thought, wow, I'm wearing it, and it was comfortable and it was light. So I'm glad I was wearing my full face because this is the Fox Pro frame. This is the Fox Pro frame. And there's still mud on actually, I need to be careful. So I don't know if you can see. I hit the right side of my face. You see that, oh, it's hard to point with two broken arms, but you can see some of the scratches there, some of the scratches across the top, some of the dents in there. And there's quite a few big dents in there. So yeah, I think I pretty much whacked the floor with my temple and it just knocked me clean out, and I'm really glad I had this helmet on, because if I didn't have a full face on, well, I don't know, it could be a lot worse. Could have a broken jaw, broken teeth, just don't know. It could have been worse, but it wasn't because I had a full face on. Point of note with helmets, if they take a big hit, you're supposed to chuck them away and get a new one. Obviously, helmets are expensive, but they're there to do a job, and this one really did. Like, yes, I was knocked out and I had a concussion, but it could have been a lot worse. It saved my teeth, it saved my face. So that one unfortunately now done its job. Evans Cycles have really fantastically sent me a new Troy Lee stage helmet. I went for this one because, like the Pro Frame, they're both quite light and airy, so you don't feel claustrophobic, because I know some people don't like that really hemmed in feeling. So when I'm fit and ready again, that's the full face for the job. The rest of my kit again really did its job. So if we talk about some of the padding I was wearing, I had my full face on. I had quite lightweight elbow pads on, like really lightweight, sort of more enduro type things. Injuries, we haven't actually talked about injuries, have we? So at the hospital it was confirmed that I had broken my left wrist. There was I can't remember what it was called now, but I'd sort of broken some of the bones in my hand as well, and I had broken my right elbow. So the elbow's not in a cast or anything like that, because there's nothing really you can do for where the break was on that. I just had it in a sling and it was really painful and stiff for a while. So the bruising on my right arm was actually really bad, because I think I fell on that side, I think, from the look of the bruising. Obviously I broke that bit of my elbow there, but because of where it was and it wasn't too severe, I didn't need that in a cast, which is really lucky, because I had to have my left arm or my left wrist in a cast. My knees also took quite the brunt of the fall. My knee pads, again from Evans, still pretty much intact. Well no, they're intact, they're absolutely fine. You can see from the bruising on my knees, there was no real bruising on the front, it was more on the top of my thighs and top of my knee, where the padding sort of goes around over the kneecap and then stops. So I think in terms of protection they did their job as well. Unfortunately, because of the way I landed and hit the ground, I mean, considering the hit my body took and the hit my arms took, my jersey, so from the front, that looks fine. That right arm, it's still got the mud on it. That right arm's fine. Unfortunately, the back, sorry, I hit the ground and I think I must have slid, I guess, potentially on the back, which is again another good reason for having the full face, because there's more coverage down the back of my head. But yeah, unfortunately the jersey didn't survive, but Dirty Rides have done me a solid and have sent me a lovely fresh new Trailbirds Cosmic jersey, so I can't wait to be back on the bike and be cycling with my jersey on and my new helmet. So back to injuries then. As I said, I do have still, a fracture in my right elbow, so it's the radius that I've broken right at the top. It's the radius I've broken in my left wrist, and I can't remember what it was that I did to my hand. I had my arm put in a cast, came back up to Birmingham, and then a few days later went for more x-rays at my local hospital, where they decided that I should have a surgery. So after Christmas, went back to hospital, had a surgery to have a plate and pins put in, which will stay in now. I had a cast on, fresh cast on then for about 2 weeks after that. And then I went back this week for my checkup and had the cast taken off, had the wound looked at. Now, I'm going to show you what it looked like next. If you are a bit squeamish or you don't like things, it's not that bad, it's just the cut where they obviously had to cut my arm open to get the plate in. If you are squeamish, look away for like the next 5 seconds while I show this picture. So you can see that there, you can see the cut. So they put a plate in, sewed it back up, put the cast back on to restrict movement. You're safe to look now, we're back. So I had a cast on just to restrict the movement just while that was healing. And then this week I had the cast off and I was given the choice between having another cast on or going for the splint. I went for the splint because although my arm felt really vulnerable and I was a bit unsure and it's still giving me pain and discomfort, I'm really keen to get that movement back, to get back on the bike and get out cycling again. So I've gone for the splint, and you can see how much movement I've got. I mean, when did I have the splint? So I had the splint on Tuesday. It went on, I felt awful. I don't know if you've broken something before and you've gone through a similar thing. I don't know if you felt like I did, but all of a sudden I felt like I was back at sort of day one, except I can remember it this time. And my arm felt really vulnerable, it felt really weak. I felt like my hand was just going to fall off if anyone knocked into me. But within 24 hours, I would say, it just felt so much better. I'm getting movement every day, so I'm doing little exercises. I can take my splint off so I can sort of let it breathe, clean it. I haven't been able to give it a really good scrub yet, so you can still see that I've got some of the orange, what do you call it, disinfectant, what they use for the surgery basically before you cut you open. So yeah, I'm really glad I went for the splint long term. I've got so much more movement back now. I can use my hand a lot better, because obviously when it was in the cast, it was just sort of the ends of my fingers poking out, which really restricted movement. It's a lot lighter as well, so when the cast came off, my arm sort of kept floating up. It feels so much better. Generally my elbow feels okay if I keep it sort of in that bent position. If I bend my arm a lot, or if I really straighten it out, or if I twist, so what I keep doing and forgetting is like pulling a door closed behind me as my arm sort of twists, and that really hurts, so I have to be careful of that. But basically I feel positive today. I was able to get myself changed today. I washed my own hair, made my own tea, made my own breakfast, managed to put socks on. Managed that the other week. When I first put socks on by myself, that felt like a real victory. So I feel more positive. I feel like I'm itching to get back on a bike now. I think, and hopefully this doesn't change, because I've got no memory of the crash. I think that's done me a favour, because I'm not scared about getting on a bike at the moment. I don't have anxiety. I'm still watching loads of YouTube videos. I'm still sort of jealous when Andrew goes out and I can't. You know, I went to skate park last Saturday. I felt pretty dreadful, to be honest, then. But it was just so nice seeing people on bikes, and I can't wait to be back on a bike. Yeah, feeling positive. So it's still early days. I kind of have times when I'm getting frustrated and I forget almost that I'm injured, and I'll stand up to do something and it will come rushing back and I'll get really frustrated. But it happened. It could have been so much worse, and there were people there for me who looked out for me, who got me sorted, who got me to the hospital. I've had just great care from the NHS in terms of my operation. It's all healing nicely. So next steps really is getting back on a bike. So with that in mind, I've got a turbo trainer from Evans Cycles to get my fitness back. As soon as I feel comfortable, obviously I'm going to sit on that, get the legs spinning, hopefully I haven't lost too much fitness in the past few weeks, but I can start building it back up, because I want to get back out there. I've got a few events that I'm already booked onto this year that I really want to be fit for, or at least bike fit for. So turbo trainer's ready to go. I've got a new helmet, new kit, new jerseys. Thankfully, some people asked how the bike is. The bike is good. There's a slight rip on the saddle. Other than that, all good. Assuming it wasn't the dropper post that sabotaged me. So we'll see. It seems to work now, having looked at it. So yeah, next steps are turbo trainer, physio on the hands, getting that movement back. Hopefully that confidence is still there, but if not, we'll build it back up, get back out there. So yeah, that was just a little update on where I am, what happened, even though we don't really know. I'm going to be still totally involved with bikes. I've got so many friends and groups that I can stay organised with and stay involved with. So as soon as I can, I'm going to be back out there. So watch this space, and if there's anyone injured out there, it sucks, and I'm sorry. But stay positive. My positive thought is it could have been worse. It could have been so much worse. Took such a heavy slam. So I will be eternally grateful that, although it was 2 broken arms, and for a while that really sucked, because you can't do much without your arms. But I'm getting there, and I will be fit and healthy again, and I will be on a bike again. So yeah, thanks for watching, and if you've got any tips for physio or confidence building exercises or places to go that aren't, you know, once I'm out there I'm going to be needing to do quite smooth, gentle trails that aren't, you know, that are still interesting so I can get my legs spinning, and get that confidence in my wrist without putting too much force through it. So if you know any good places to go, any recommendations, any tips for recovery, then please let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.